How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a rapper by the name of XXXTentacion, who unfortunately was shot and killed yesterday at the age of 20. Very unfortunate, very sad. I don't know too much about the guy, quite honestly. I know that he appeared to be a drug addict. So while I'm not surprised that he died, I'm surprised at the way he died. I didn't think he would be shot and killed. I thought it would be drugs that would take him. Not saying that I'm enjoying his death or I'm reveling in it. I'm just being honest. I figured he would die pretty young, but I didn't know that he would be shot and killed. Either way it goes, it's very sad. My heart goes out to his family, his friends. If he had any children, I don't know if he did or he didn't, but if he did, my heart goes out to them. However, we need to address something that has been a constant theme ever since the whole Black Lives Matter riots of 2014 to 2016-17, whenever Trump got into office, but I digress. That's when they stopped, but we'll move on. There's a lot of hypocrisy as it relates to who these SJW people will make into martyrs when they die. You see the headline over my left-hand shoulder. It says, "Stop pretending you actually gave a you know what about XXXTentacion's quote-unquote growth and potential." So this person here does not really approve of this guy and may even celebrate his death. Now, of course, we're on theroot.com. That's where all the best articles are. This is my favorite website, and we're going to get into the article to see what it says. And that's him right here, 20 years old, like I said, from South Florida. And the article reads, "My only context for XXXTentacion is a terrible one. I first became aware of him several months ago after reading about how his star was rising, not just in spite of the numerous crimes he allegedly committed, but specifically because of them." Now, let's pause right here. A lot of times when somebody dies that is a black person and people want to bring up their past, it's often rebuffed by people just like this. They say, don't bring up his past. He shouldn't have died. He didn't deserve to die, this, that, and the third. But this article here goes immediately into bringing up what he did in the past. Now, let's see exactly what he did to see if it's really that bad or what's going on. He was back off my radar until a month ago when Spotify sought to remove his music from its promoted playlist as part of the streaming service's quote-unquote hateful conduct policy, but reversed his decision after an outcry, including criticism from Kendrick Lamar, who reportedly threatened to remove his music from Spotify if the policy stood. Now, I'm not a fan of either one of these guys, Kendrick Lamar or XXX, as far as the music is concerned, but when you start censoring stuff, I mean, it can be a very slippery slope. All you have to do is be accused of something, and then you're just punished for that. And I think that's kind of a tar and feather, witch hunt, lynch mob type of mentality, but I digress. I still don't know too much about him, though, until reading the extensive Miami New Times profile of him 2 weeks ago. It's here that I learned of his age, 20, his relatively diminutive size, 5'6", 120 pounds, his name, Jase Dwayne Onfrey, the size of his record deal, 6 million, and his discography. I also, for the first time, learned in detail about his alleged crimes, which, without getting explicit, reached a level of brutality and gleeful sadism that reminded me of what I'd read years ago about Uday Hussein. So you read that right. They're comparing this guy, XXXTentacion, to Uday Hussein. And when people like that die, as Hussein did 15 years ago and XXXTentacion did yesterday, my only reaction is that the world is a better place with them gone. So this guy, XXX, young 20-year-old rapper, had a criminal past. All of a sudden, you want to compare him to Uday Hussein. But imagine if he was somebody like, I don't know, Freddie Gray, who had 25 prior convictions for drugs and had died in police custody, and we don't really know how he died. People want to say they gave him a rough ride or whatever, but we don't really know exactly what killed him. People were calling this guy a victim. He was a martyr, this, that, and the third. And I can go on. Tamir Rice, same thing, on and on and on. I guess it really depends upon who kills you and what kind of crimes you committed. It's not about crime in general, because if it was about crime in general, then Freddie Gray wouldn't be some type of martyr. He wouldn't have a mural in Baltimore. Same thing with Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, or whatever. Okay, so what are we really doing? Let's see exactly what happened. If they don't tell you what he did, I know one crime that he did, and that'll kind of bring it on home for you. I still haven't listened to his music, so I do not have the same relationship with it and him that many of the young people who are mourning him today do. Despite my feelings about XXXTentacion, I am sad that they are sad. There are also the reactions to his death from grown-ups, including people such as J. Cole and others in the same industry. Jadena notably had many words to offer. And for future purposes, Jadena, if I'm not mistaken, that's the guy that came out with the song called Classic Man. He's against police brutality, and he's also under Janelle Monáe, and Janelle Monáe is bisexual, LGBT, whatever you want to call her. But let's keep going. His quote reads, "For those who are so woke that their compassion is asleep, remember this: if Malcolm X was killed at the age of 20, he would have died an abuser, a thief, an addict, and a narrow-minded, depressed, and violent criminal." That's when he was known as Detroit Red. He also did some things with, Lady Boys, but that's a different story. So I believe in change for the young. Ultimately, these types of eulogies are nothing but a rush to pretend that those who write them actually cared about XXXTentacion. It's a performative mourning. They're also often accompanied, as Jadena's was, by an attempt to admonish those of us who are honest about how we actually felt, which adds a level of sanctimony to these performances. Because if these men like J. Cole and Jadena and Kendrick Lamar and Kanye West and whoever else with a voice and a platform or any sort of influence actually cared about Josh A. Dwayne Onfori's life and not XXXTentacion's potential, he might still be alive today. Well, how so, sir? I'm sure you're going to tell us how these rappers would be able to make this guy not get shot and killed in the middle of the street. If they truly cared about him, why, like, one thing, I'm not reading the curse words, I'm changing it. Why must these people that work at The Root and other so-called professional websites, why must they use profanity in their pieces? I mean, come on. It doesn't make any sense, but I digress. If they truly cared about him, they wouldn't have enabled him with continual cosigns and shoutouts. They knew, as we all know now, about the total destruction he reportedly inflicted on Geneva Ayala during his short life, and still inflicts in death, as his fans will undoubtedly continue to stalk and harass her, and perhaps even worse. And they surely must have known that support from industry titans provides to be no disincentive. Why would he change if he was getting multi-million-dollar record deals and love from his elders? I won't pretend to know what they could have done to genuinely help him become a better person. I just know that retweeting his music and threatening to boycott Spotify ain't it. I just know that his hundreds of thousands of impressionable young fans also see what we're seeing, and they wouldn't be wrong to presume that these cosigns are implicit support of his behavior. Of course, we already know that these eulogizers don't care about Geneva Ayala and the countless other Geneva Ayalas abused and discarded by the XXXTentacions of the world, women and girls who only value is to eventually exist as a redemptive narrative fulcrum, their entire lives and worse reduced to literary devices. This is word salad. But lamenting over XXXTentacion's murder when you supported a life that clearly was leading to more destruction of more Geneva Ayalas and eventually his own death shows that this care is as useful as and meaningful and cheap as an RIP t-shirt. Okay. And that's your boy, Damon Young, the world famous. One thing they didn't mention in this article, which I figured that they wouldn't because they didn't do too much research, but one thing that the LGBTQIA ABCD community did not like about XXXTentacion was that he beat a gay person up in jail and tried to kill him. And I'll link to a video where he talked about that in the box below on No Jumper, this podcast with this guy. I forget his name, but of course that will be in the box. He said that he didn't want the guy in his cell. If the dude tried to do something to him, he was going to try to kill him. And then it was an altercation that happened. So a lot of people on Twitter are posting stuff talking about, oh, we're glad that he's dead. A lot of the LGBT black Twitter, they're talking about that because of his crime or alleged crime or assault of a gay person while he was in jail. They want to call him homophobic, transphobic, or whatever the case may be. But when you're in jail, those types of things happen. I think him being in jail should have been a bigger problem rather than what he did while he was in there to somebody else who was in jail. Just because a gay person is in jail doesn't mean there's some kind of victim. That gay person might have hurt somebody else that you love or that you know, or it may have been something that you don't agree with. So people are just kind of dumb. They don't really think things through. They have short-term thinking patterns. They just think right in front of them. They don't look at any kind of long-range thing. My opinion on this is that it's unfortunate that XXX died, but at the same time, I think that this whole situation, the Root article and also the LGBT Twitter, highlights hypocrisy in the black community. People like this who have committed crimes before, when those of us on the right say, hey, this was a violent criminal, they were out there hurting people and they died, I mean, what's going to happen? They say, oh, you're racist, you just hate black people, this, that, and the third. But then when the same situation happens, but the crimes affect them in a personal way, it hurts their fifis on the inside. They feel like they have been personally attacked, even though they've never met him before in their life. Then all of a sudden it becomes, well, forget him. You just want to discard him like he's nothing. It's really weird, but it just proves the point that all this Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot, is just a bunch of baloney because it's not consistent. You don't do it all the time. You just do it when it's convenient for your personal argument, for your personal narrative. It's not a true situation. So I just want to highlight the hypocrisy that happens in the SJW sphere in the black community. If this was Freddie Gray, if this was Tamir Rice, if this was Philando Castile, if the person had been killed by a white person, police officer, or somebody like that, then the entire narrative would be different. You would not see this headline right here. You would see the exact opposite. It wouldn't even matter if the crimes that he was accused of or convicted of were the exact same as my man right here who passed away. So really unfortunate. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised that he got shot and killed. I didn't know he had that kind of street beef, but apparently he did. He did die in South Florida, where he's from, unfortunately. And once again, I say my prayer goes out to his mother, to his family members. If he had any children, prayers out to them as well. And it's really unfortunate that he died. I just wanted to highlight the situation and the hypocrisy that goes along with it. So what do you think? Do you think that this situation most certainly highlights hypocrisy in the black community? Do you think that we tend to celebrate the worst of us and we condemn the best of us? Do you think that the LGBTQIA have taken over all these black areas of influence and also influence in general, not just black, but all over television? I don't care if you're gay or whatever, that's your business. But what I don't like is just trying to push one way of being that only a select few people actually subscribe to. I think we should just promote normal gender roles and values for the majority of people, or don't do anything at all. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I gotta say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.